All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another departmental deep dive on Facebook. We appreciate you taking time on your busy schedules to be with us tonight. I hope everyone is enjoying their snow day. I know at least those of us in Northeast Pennsylvania and probably Southern New York got hit pretty hard with a pretty bad snowstorm here today, but it made for a kind of a fun day. But again, it also makes for a perfect viewing experience to spend some time on Facebook Live. So like I said, I really appreciate it. Tonight, like I said, we'll be covering our radiation science program, one of our more unique majors here at Bloomsburg. The event should take probably around 30 or 35 minutes. The event will be recorded for future viewing. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the Facebook chat, and we'll be sure to prompt them to our panelists. So the event tonight will start with just a brief overview from Dr. Simpson, and then we'll open it up to a Q&A panel with both our faculty and our students here. But before I go any further, if we wanted to do some introductions, and we can start with Dr. Simpson.
Okay, my name is David Simpson. I'm a retired professor. I was head of the radiation science program for the last 16 years.
You know, Dr. Simpson cares. He's not being paid to do this. He is retired. So you know that this is important to him. So we appreciate your time, Dr. Simpson. Thank you. Troy. Troy, you're muted, buddy.
Hi, everyone. Troy Prutzman. Currently Bloomsburg University's radiation safety officer. Work along with Dave and Dr. Simpson and Dr. Nas and kind of oversee all our radioactive materials, our radiation safety program here at BU, and had the pleasure to see all these students more or less in the past. So this should be some fun.
That's a heck of a title there, Troy. That's impressive. Very, very important. Thank you. Dr. Falahian.
I'm Nozofayan Falahian, a faculty member at Bloomsburg University. I teach both physics courses and radiation science or health physics courses. And I've been doing this for the past almost 13 years now.
Great, thank you. And Dr. Hummel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lynn Hummel, and I am the interim dean of the College of Science and Technology, and want to welcome all of you here this evening.
And Dr. Hummel also wins the award for the most impressive Zoom backdrop. That is way more interesting than my map of the Battle of Gettysburg and the painting I have back here. So that's awesome. That's very great. And then some of our students, Anna.
Hi, everyone. My name's Anna Guernsey. I graduated from the program in December of 2018. I'm currently a health physicist at Michigan State University, and I'm originally from upstate New York in Syracuse.
And Anna, I hope you still rep your BU gear while you're at Michigan State, right? Is it safe to assume you're doing that? Okay. And
yes,
we appreciate that.
Obviously.
Right,
of course.
Thank you. Candace.
Hi, everyone. My name is Candace. I graduated spring of 2018. I'm currently a radiation safety specialist at Mount Sinai Hospital in Manhattan, New York, and I'm originally from Quakertown, Pennsylvania.
And Candace, how is, did you guys get hit with the snowstorm in Manhattan?
It wasn't terrible. It was like 5 to 7 inches. The biggest issue was just the sidewalks. Half the sidewalks were shoveled, the other half were just sheets of ice.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I gotcha. All right, great. Thanks. And Tanner.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tanner Ambrose. I graduated in May of 2020. I work at Plexus Scientific Corporation as a health physicist, and I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Tanner, you're not a Steelers fan, are you?
Of course I am.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that. You're in Philadelphia Eagles territory, my friend. And Tanner, so you're living down in Maryland, right? So that means you're also living in enemy territory there with the Ravens, right?
I live a block away from M&T Bank Stadium, so it's a little hard wearing that Steelers jersey around.
Do you still wear it around, though? That's the question.
I do. I'm brave.
Okay, I respect that. I respect that. All right, great. So thank you, everyone, for the introductions. So right now we're gonna I'm gonna do a quick panelist questions with Dr. Simpson, so he can kind of walk us through an overview of the program. Then we'll open it up to a Q&A panel with the rest of the group. So Dr. Simpson, I think for me and for my own edification and for most of the people in the audience, could you explain to us what is radiation science?
Okay, radiation science is really a broad field. It's known by several names: health physics, radiation science, and so forth. But really what it is the safe and effective use of radioactive materials and radiation in human use, medical uses, nuclear power, for example, X-rays. There are many applications that involve radiation. And so our students can get jobs in a variety of areas, as you've already heard.
Mhm. Yeah, I understand that we are one of 4 programs in Pennsylvania or on the East Coast.
Yes, but we're the only undergraduate program in this area in the Northeast. There's one other undergraduate college down in South Carolina, but we're the only undergraduate program. And yeah, there are very few programs across the country.
So the summarization there is that there's not a lot of competition for positions in that meet. There's not going to be people flooding the job market with this kind of a background. And it is obviously very important career responsibility. So I think that works to the advantage of our students graduating from this program. What is the curriculum, or what does the coursework include?
The coursework is really a variety. Obviously, it's in the physics department, so there are a number of physics and math courses that are involved. But we also have to be aware of biology, chemistry, environmental sciences. It's really a very broad field. We don't have to specialize in some very narrow field of physics. We really need to have a cross-cutting of a number of areas to be effective.
Is there an expectation that for a student to get a job in this field that they would have an advanced degree, like a master's or a PhD, or is it realistic for them to get a job out of their undergrad degree?
It's very realistic to get a job as an undergraduate. It's one of the few areas in physics that you can really get a job as an undergraduate. And in fact, most of our students did directly go and get jobs. A few of our students went on to the graduate programs, but most of our students, in fact, I believe everybody that's on here right now, got a job as an undergraduate. So yeah, it's a job that you can go to college for 4 years, come out and expect to get a well-paying job that's in high demand.
Really, the presentation could probably end right there with that sentence. I mean, that's probably the most important thing. Yeah, I believe I remember hearing that there's a 100% placement rate here, so it's hard to do better than 100%. So why would you recommend the BU Radiation Science program to a prospective student?
To me, it was always a very personal program. It's a relatively small college compared to some of the others,
Sure.
and you really get to know the professors, and you get to have some contact with them.
So is this a career field that you would expect to see growing as we move into the future?
I certainly would. Probably the biggest area that I see right now is still medical physics and medical health physics or radiation science, because again, this is the way that we do diagnostic and therapy in medicine right now.
So what are some of the places where people might be working? Like, what are some of the career fields that you might find someone with a degree in this field working in?
Well, obviously hospitals, since we talked about the medical side, but also universities in general, research universities. You'll also find people in nuclear power plants. Again, this is a very applied use of the field. Government, the state of Pennsylvania is desperately looking for more health physicists and radiation safety people. Environmental science is another area. So a number of areas that have applications.
Sure. And my last question for you, Dr. Simpson, if you're a prospective student in high school, if you are a prospective student at another college or community college, what are some things that you might be interested in that would be an indicator that this is a good program for you to evaluate? Like, what are some of the things, like maybe an interest in physics or an interest in math or environmental science? Like, what are some of the checkpoints that they might be able to review and say, oh, you know what, this might be a good fit for me?
Well, certainly the two you just mentioned, physics and math, are certainly requirements, but you don't necessarily have to have that very, very high level of mathematics. What you really want to have is more of a broad coverage. What you'd like to have is an interest in science in general. So that would be chemistry, biology, physics, math, all of those.
And what's the highest level of math you'd go into?
Certainly into calculus. So, and the students can probably address that better than I can, but certainly you will be expected to know calculus.
Okay. All right, great. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I feel like I kind of got a little bit of a crash course into the radiation science program. I hope our audience did as well. So I'm going to open up some of the questions then to the rest of the group. And my first question is, why did you choose radiation science? Why did you pick this program? Okay, we can start with Anna.
So starting my college journey right out of high school, I went to a community college for an associate's degree in radiologic technology. And that was my end goal, was to be an x-ray tech. I completed that program, got my x-ray tech license, kind of realized that I wanted more science. I wanted to learn more of the background knowledge and the safety side of it. So I started looking into programs. I looked into just general occupational health and safety programs, but the health physics or radiation science program was really the perfect blend of the two. So I could still have the safety side and the rule following side and keeping people safe, plus the science side, where I kept, learning the background of it and everything dealing with radiation. So it was kind of the perfect blend to get me out of the hospital setting and continue the science part.
And what were some of the things you were interested in high school and when you were at your previous college before transferring to Bloomsburg?
Definitely science and math. I have that brain. Math makes sense to me. Science makes sense to me. Writing essays does not make sense to me. So definitely the science math brain, which is originally why I wanted to be an x-ray tech, because I knew that there was some science behind that. And you do have to learn that to get your license. And I wanted to go in the healthcare field at that time, but then being in the setting, I realized that I wanted more of the science.
So what was your favorite science class in high school, or your favorite science subject, I should say?
Definitely my physics class. I was very lucky.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a very hands-on physics teacher in high school, and he kind of delved into a little bit of the radiation topic, so that introduced me.
Okay, great. Thank you. Candace.
So whenever I went into Bloomsburg undeclared, I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do. I know I wanted to do something medical field, and I liked biology. So I was going the biology route where I was taking those classes. And at one time I was like, I don't know if I want to go straight biology. I don't really know what I want to do. So I went through Bloomsburg's, all the different majors they have. I didn't even know we had this major at all. And I was reading about it. I was like, wow, this sounds so interesting. Why? I was like, it has like a little bit of everything. And I was
if there were only a Facebook Live event that I could have attended in order to learn more about it, you know what I mean? Yeah.
It would have been so helpful.
Right.
I emailed Dr. Simpson because it said he was the contact person at the point. I emailed him. I talked to him later. I think it was either that afternoon, the day after, it was with like 24 to 48 hours, definitely. We had a long discussion. He talked to me about it and I was pretty sold on it. And the aspect I really like about the major is you do get to do a little bit of everything. So you get a lot of different just knowledge and exposure in different backgrounds. So that's why I chose it, because it was just very interesting to me.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. And again, that's part of the reason why we like to do these events, is because, radiation science, I'm assuming no one has taken any radiation science courses in high school, and that's not a knock on the high school. It's a specific field, right? So that's what we're trying to get, or trying to allow prospective audiences to be exposed to these kinds of things, so they can do their due diligence. This might be an area of interest. I know we have some other majors there where there might be some crossover and interest or in curriculum, something like medical imaging. Our medical imaging program gets a lot of attention, and rightfully so. It's a great program, but you might also be interested in this program as well, because the curriculum is going to be somewhat similar. I know when we work with prospective students, oftentimes when you think of majoring in the health sciences, or when you major in anything in College of Science and Technology, you instantly think of something tech, or you think of pre-med. And those are the only two binary options. And the reality is there's so much more that you can do, although we need all of those people, but there's more options that are out there. Yeah, great point. Tanner.
So back in high school, I didn't really know what to study in college, and my dad had this idea to have me go shadow my sister out at the University of Chicago. And she's a health physicist at the University of Chicago, providing her services to the medical center and the university itself. And I wanted to go to college for something unique. And her job was very unique when I went out and kind of like shadowed her for about 3 days. It was something nobody really knew about, and it was very exciting to me. And that's when I decided radiation sciences was the right choice for me. And with Bloomsburg being the only school in Pennsylvania, I ended up finding my second home.
Yeah, and it's a field where you're right. Not a lot of people have heard of, but you'd be hard pressed to find a career field that's more important than this, which is an interesting dynamic. I hope you have continued to thank your father for pushing you out there. That was some good fatherly advice there. That worked out pretty well. Great, thank you. All right, next question. So what was your favorite class either to take, and then for the faculty, your favorite class to teach? And we can start with Dr. Simpson.
Remember how to move. Okay, favorite class to teach, certainly the health physics courses, the lecture courses, and also the medical imaging. I also taught courses in medical imaging. One of the things I liked about it was the students were always very interested in the program. They knew that they had a career there, and so they really paid attention, asked some tough questions at times, which is okay. But also it just made me feel like I was doing something useful when I came into the classroom.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anna.
I would say that my favorite class was, I'm not sure if it's still titled this, but when I took it, it was called radiation biology. And that it was just, again, the perfect balance of coming from a medical background and coming from that field and introducing the science part and delving deep into how the radiation affects the body and learning about historical events and how the people were affected and all the outcomes of that. And it was just the perfect blend. I think that was my favorite class that I took during the whole years.
Yeah, one of the things I'm always more interested to hear about, or I'm surprised to hear about, is that this program is somewhat interdisciplinary. The title will lead you to think that you're just taking courses in this single narrow location, but that's not necessarily the case. It's going to be a confluence of bio, chemistry, physics, right? Medical imaging. You're going to take a wide variety of courses. So for anyone who has an interest that is a little more broad and a little less specific, this might be a good field. Yeah. Troy.
Well, so since I don't have the pleasure of taking any classes, I'll offer up a little spin on this though. So at least Tanner and Anna had the experience, and I wish I would have had a chance to do it with Candace as well. But beyond sort of the subjects that we kind of offer the students and, you know, what's being taught to them, I've actually started doing something where I actually take at least a student from the major and kind of scoop them in under my wing, and we pay them as work study. And we just pretty much give them an opportunity to sort of experience what their career could be like. Everything from, you know, getting them in the lab, doing surveys, you know, Tanner's had some experience more or less with the indulgent paperwork that exists, but I mean, I know he had a lot of takeaways from it. I know Anna had some experience with doing trainings and stuff. So I think really beyond sort of the educational side, the class side, hands-on experience and actually sort of taking your major and putting it right into college and doing a face-to-face and walking around the labs and realizing that you're kind of doing the job before you graduate. I don't think really anybody else is doing that. Hopefully, and you know, if it's working, it's great. And if it, you know, helps everybody else out in the future, you know, it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the rare opportunities where you're going to get a pretty transparent view of exactly what your career is going to be like. So if you don't have a father who's recommending that you go shadow your older sister who happens to work in health physics, this is probably the next best option, I would imagine. Yeah, great, thanks. Candace.
My favorite class was a two-part class. It was called Nuclear Instrumentation, and that was by far, I feel like that was a very big asset to the program. So nuclear instrumentation is when you get hands-on experience with all the different types of meters that you would be using in the field. And then you also get that
Okay.
thinking experience and just that writing experience where we would actually read up different labs. We would have exams about what we learned, and we really got to know the nitty gritty of the machines. We got to learn the theories and also just apply that. And that was a huge asset to me whenever post college I was doing different interviews, and anyone I would talk to would be impressed with how much hands-on experience we did have with the instrumentation with
Yeah.
undergraduate program.
Yeah, so it seems like a lot of our degrees, and again, I'm just surprised to hear this. I graduated from college a while ago. Is that, you know, when I was a student, it used to just be you would take a set of classes and then you do an internship where you would apply what you learned in all the coursework. But the way a lot of our academic programs are structured now is, yes, you're going to do an internship or a research project, but what you're also going to do in your courses is have applied projects that have relevance in the real world, right? So it's not just the theory, it's the practice. So that way your resume is going to be built with all these different items on here that you were not only doing in classroom, but also have professional relevance. So you're almost able to kind of double dip a little bit where you're going to work on completing the curriculum for your degree and also be filling out your resume at the same time. Yeah, that's great. Tanner.
So I'd say my favorite class was health physics and applied health physics with Dr. Simpson. He taught us basically everything in the health physics world. He provided details to almost every field of health physics: environmental, medical, academic, nuclear power, and basically you name it, he taught it. He also taught the basics that would be used in basically every single aspect of health physics. I mean, there's so many equations that we use for almost every field. And he helped us learn how to use our resources to solve our problems as well. And he even gave us some materials that I still use today at my job.
Okay. All right. Nice. All right. Great. Thanks, Tanner. Dr. Falohian.
Yeah, I have actually taught a variety of courses, and I loved all of them, you know, from introductory physics courses all the way to upper division, you know, courses from advanced physics lab to radiation science related courses such as, you know, health physics, applied physics, radiation biology, nuclear instrumentation laboratory. So I enjoyed all of them. And I like what Candace said. One of the most favorite ones is also, for me also, is the nuclear instrumentation laboratory, which is called radiation detection laboratory in this curriculum. So it's hands-on. So I really enjoy to see the spectrum of the, you know, radiation from the gamma spectrometers. You know, I really enjoy to see that students who, you know, use the same instruments later in their jobs, and it's a great thing to have hands-on activity beforehand.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's favorite classes to either take or teach were the classes that were hands-on, where you're at, you know, where you're applying those things, and those are the things that your students, or that as a student you'll be doing in the field. I mean, you're only going to be in college for 4 years, right? But you're going to have a career that expands a lot longer than 4 years. So that's a pretty good indicator. If you enjoy doing these hands-on projects as a student, you're not always going to have that opportunity in every program. This is a major where you're going to have those built-in experiences all throughout the curriculum along the way. Yep, that's great. So for the students in the group, what are your career goals? Like, what's the end game here for you, Anna?
I'm currently studying to take the National Registry of Radiation Protection Technologists exam. So that's kind of short term, probably within the year or two, I'll be taking that. And then after that, I'm kind of going to see where the career takes me. If I get bored where I am, I have a lot of avenues to look for something different to shake things up a bit, or see where this job takes me, and maybe eventually look into becoming a certified health physicist.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. Candace.
My interim goal one day is to be a radiation safety officer. Right now, I'm just trying to become more immersed with radiation safety and also possibly cross-train in environmental health and safety. And then for our field, we have a certified health physicist exam, which is a 2-part exam. So currently I'm studying for part 1 exam of that. And I'm also studying for the certified medical laser safety officer exam, which is something my work offers well. So my heart is in the medical field. However, I am not opposed to just learning in different environments, because that's a wonderful thing about this field. There's so many different sectors that you can really explore and get your feet wet in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. So again, you could go into this field, but maybe you have a special interest in working in healthcare. Maybe you have a special interest in working in environmental consulting, environmental stuff. You want to work for an NGO. You have a lot of options there where you can match a personal interest with career preparation. Yeah. Tanner.
Other than getting my certified health physicist certification, I basically keep my goals pretty simple, is to just be happy, enjoy what I do.
Okay.
I just want to further myself as an individual and as a health physicist. And with this career, the limit does not exist.
Yeah, that's deep. And yeah, the limit does not exist. Yeah, that would have been a good title for this event. The limit does not exist. Yeah, that's a great point to make. So just a follow-up question for all three students, and really this would probably be relevant for Troy as well. Walk us through a day in your jobs. Like, what are some of the things that you are tasked with working on to, I know you might not be able to give away a lot of details for obvious reasons, but what are some of the things you might be working on? Anna.
I'm currently in charge of the survey program on campus and the x-ray machines. So day to day, I'm going out to the research labs, any of them who are using radioactive materials. I'm checking to make sure that they've done their surveys. I'm surveying the area to make sure there's no contamination. All of that, I check in the packages to make sure that they're receiving what they ordered, and to keep a log of what radioactive materials we have on campus. And then I also, like I said, take care of the x-ray machines. So all the registrations, that's more paperwork. So day to day, it's a nice mix of out on campus and then in my cubicle.
Sure. So are you kind of like the Troy of Michigan State?
Kind of. My boss is the Troy of Michigan State. So I'm kind of all over the place and doing what needs to be done.
Okay, great. All right, thanks, Anna. Troy.
So I know basically what everybody's going to basically say from the student panel side. And I think for me, I pretty much do everything from x-ray to radioactive materials to surveys to rad waste to licensing. We have a couple researchers now that are starting to get pretty active in our college. So the nice part about that is, the students in the program are going to have the opportunity to actually go up to those labs and, kind of apply what they're learning, and build on their knowledge in that sense. So that goes back to really incorporating the students. And I mean, as a radiation safety officer, beyond what Anna currently does and, maybe what Tanner might do and what Candace does, if you're in this role, you tend to kind of have to do it all, or either you have people that actually work under you and kind of help sort of solidify what needs to be done. So currently I kind of use students to help me out on that.
All right, great. Thanks, Troy. Candace.
Something I love about this field is my typical day-to-day, it really varies depending on the week and the things that need to get done. For my office, we all know, we're, like Troy said, we all do everything within the office, but so some individuals will specialize in certain things. Right now, I help manage the dosimetry program for the hospital. And dosimeter is just a radiation badge that you would wear if you deal with radiation. And then I also do the meter calibrations for the hospital. So the meters that they use to check for radiation, I help monitor that as well. I do non-human use audits for the laboratories as well, do the rad waste. I really get to do something different almost every single day. And it makes the workday go by fast, and you're always constantly learning and just doing something new. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, and Candace and Troy, you had mentioned this rad waves. Am I saying that right?
Rad waste. So
rad waste. Okay, so rad is radiation, I'm assuming. Okay, sorry. Some of this goes right over my head. All right, great. Thanks, Candace. Tanner.
So this one's a little hard for me because I'm in the consulting business. So
You
we
don't have
deal
to.
with-
I know you don't want to give away any proprietary information. I totally understand. So be as vague as you need to.
So my day-to-days they vary because I could go to a medical research facility providing my services with radioactive waste surveys, trainings. I go to universities and I help out with their radiation safety programs. And sometimes I'm hopping on a flight to California to do soil sampling.
Okay.
I do different stuff, different days every week. So it's very enjoyable.
Troy, you are an international man of mystery here. What are some of the cooler places you've traveled to?
For me,
Troy.
No, I'm sorry, Troy. I mean Tanner. I'm sorry. Yeah, too many T's. Yeah, I got you. Sorry about that, Troy. But I'd love to hear about your travel plans too, Troy.
So I've just started in May, so I haven't traveled to that many cool places. But I've been to Fort Wayne, Indiana, which isn't as exciting as San Francisco, California, where I also was just recently at.
That's
but
pretty
I do
cool.
a lot of
Yeah.
work. It was awesome. And
yeah.
I also travel around the Baltimore, DC area as well. So, I'm getting to learn. I just moved here in August, so I'm still learning the area. So being able to travel to different places here in Maryland and DC also, it helps me as a person as well to learn the roads and the interstates down here.
What's the traffic like down there? Scale of 1 to 10.
Here in Baltimore, it's not bad. I'd probably give it like a 5, but once you get down the DC area, it's still bad. I'd
like a
give
parking
that like
lot.
a 9. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. In all honesty, this is, talk about a champagne problem. I'll hit a couple red lights on Main Street on my way to campus. It's like, oh my gosh, 2 red lights in a row. What are the odds of that? This is horrible. So for the people who sit in real traffic, they're like, yeah, buddy, just sit down. So, okay. All right, great. And Troy, what are some of the places that you've traveled through work?
I can't really get it, Tanner's list out surpasses mine. But I've been down to Oak Ridge, Tennessee to REACTS.
Okay.
I can't remember. I know it's an acronym. Probably Dr. Simpson could help me out there.
Sure.
I've been through quite a few different things that have been sort of related, both on, I also do something that's kind of community based. So I kind of involved with a radiological officer for our county. And I've done at least stuff that's with that organization that's kind of put us here and there for different types of trainings and stuff. So yeah, nowhere elegant, because when you're training, I mean, it's not elegant.
Nothing Fort Wayne elegant.
No, I mean, they kind of keep you occupied a pretty long day. So by the time you finally have your time for yourself, you kind of have like that 1 or 2 hours after the day is over where you just want to try to do something, grab dinner and just go home.
Yeah, recharge. Yeah. And Tanner, I should have asked you at the onset of this. You're a consultant. This is not billable hours, right? We're not going to get a bill in the mail here in a couple of weeks. I don't think we could afford your services. Is the point I'm making here. Okay. All right.
Let me jump in if I could.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Because Troy used the acronym REACTS. REACTS is the Radiation Emergency Assistance Center training site located in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. It's a World Health Organization and the only one in North America. And so they do training as well as they're on 24/7 call for any type of radiation emergency response.
Okay. Yeah, I say that pretty important responsibilities there. Okay. For the students then, what was your job search like, Anna?
My job search was thankfully very easy. I graduated in December and I was able to sign a job in October before I graduated. So
wow,
it was a job here at Michigan State University for basically right out of college. At the time, it was a radiation safety technologist program or a position, and they liked me. I got hired. The whole process took about 2 weeks, and I signed it. They were a little disappointed that they had to wait until I graduated, but I started in January after I graduated in December. So.
You had a job waiting for you.
Yes.
Must be nice.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Candace.
Whenever I first graduated, I actually got to do research with the help of Dr. Simpson. So I did that for a couple of months after I graduated, and I got to present that. But something that Dr. Nas and Dr. Simpson really incorporated us to do, well, taught us to do, is join the Health Physics Society, which is a professional society for a major. And it's a great asset because you get to network with so many different people. And not only did we get job information from Simpson and Nas, they actually have a job listing post for the Health Physics Society as well. So there's a lot of different options. It took me around a year or like a little under a year to find a job. But I got my job through networking. I heard of it from someone I actually graduated with, heard about it. I applied and then I got it within 2 weeks as well.
You were hot on the market. Yeah. And by the way, so when I heard Candace say Nas is Dr. Falohian. She goes by Dr. Nas sometimes as well, just to clarify. Tanner.
So I just graduated in May of 2020, so I am a graduate during this pandemic. So it was a little difficult at first because I started applying day one of my senior year. I was so excited to get into the field. And I was getting a little disappointed because I wasn't getting any responses earlier on in the year, but I mean, I still had 12 months to graduate. But during the pandemic, about March, I got an email from one of my professors. I forget if it was Dr. Nas, Troy, or even Dr. Simpson, about a company searching for one of our students because they knew we had a great program and they actually had a prior student that worked for them. And I emailed him back and I got no response. And one day I got an email from somebody, and he's now my supervisor. And he said he found my resume on the HPS, which is the Health Physics Society website, and he would like to talk to me. And that's basically a few conversations later, I had received a job offer, and here I am.
Yeah, the rest is history. Okay. So so for Dr. Simpson, Dr. Falohian, and Troy, how often do you get prospective employers reaching out looking for our students? Is that a common occurrence? Troy.
Well, let's see. It hasn't been 24 hours yet because I had an inquiry pretty much yesterday.
Jeez. Okay. All right. So Dr. Simpson, it's same kind of experience. Dr. Falohian, same thing.
Absolutely. I still get people asking me if I'm still associated with a program or if I know anybody looking for a job.
Yeah, and I actually submitted 2 of them already to one of our recent graduates, and I'm waiting for another position, which is going to come up, pretty soon, within a couple of weeks, to let them know as well.
Yeah, it seems like the networking here is pretty important, both in terms of, because again, you're talking one of 4 programs on the East Coast. So the networking here is going to be pretty important. It's not necessarily as easy to go to LinkedIn. If you're a prospective employer trying to find a student like this, you probably have to go directly to the source. We're one of 4 sources. So that's why, when earlier in the event we were talking about small class sizes, you're going to get to know your professors, kind of the attribute and the benefit here is they'll be able to recommend you for jobs. And 2 out of 3 students here, and so 66%, right? They got a job through recommendation from a faculty member who was teaching their class. And the Health Physics Society, can someone address what exactly that is? Troy or Dr. Simpson? Dr. Falohian?
Yeah, it's the professional society that is recognized in the country that most health physicists, radiation science people are members of that. There is a certification through it that indicates that you've reached a certain level. But it's also, they hold an annual meeting where we all get together. We did it virtually this year, but in the past it's physically together. And it's a great opportunity to make connections, to meet people looking for jobs, to meet people and see what kind of problems they're having and how they're solving them.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. So this is my last question for the night, and it's really for anyone in the group. What advice would you give to a prospective student who's considering this program? And we can start with Dr. Simpson.
I guess I will just make it very simple. Certainly consider the program, look and see if it's in your interest. You can find things online. The Health Physics Society has a web page that you could look at and see if it might be something you'd like to pursue.
Sure. Great. Thank you. Anna.
It's definitely a field that you're never going to get bored in.
Okay.
Definitely a lot of different avenues. If
Mhm.
you do get bored, you change your pace and
Mhm.
go to something different. So I would kind of along what Dr. Simpson said, I would definitely give it a chance.
Mhm.
At least look into it and see if it piques any interest for you.
Okay. Sure. Troy.
So I'd say you just have to have at least a passion, at least for science.
Mhm.
And then realistically, it can find you. I mean, needless to say, I did not step into this career from the get-go, and
Mhm.
it kind of grew on me. And needless to say, over time now, I probably would have never thought that.
Mhm.
And so as long as you're vested in science, you're devoted sort of to being a good student,
Mhm.
and you want to do something that's a very reactive field,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of support there, and it's ever changing.
Mhm.
This is your route to go.
Yeah. You want to keep people safe. Yeah. Yeah, Candace.
I can't recommend this program at Bloomsburg enough. I was going to say Bloomsburg really promotes professional development and growth. This program does as well. The program is a small number. I was going to say, I don't know how many times I emailed Dr. Nas during the week asking all the additional questions. She was always answering me.
Mhm.
Dr. Simpson, he would go over and just gave us so many great resources. And I mean, I know I'm successful because of these individuals in Troy. They gave us so many different just resources and just
Mhm.
good advice as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, it's great advice. Great advice. Thank you. Tanner.
So if you're looking to go into a unique field and you are a science person, I would say this job could be your calling. And there's so many opportunities and options within this field. There's got to be something that you will like.
Yeah.
And the special thing about this program is the networking, the opportunities that the professors in Troy will give you, and the internships too. I mean, there's so many internship opportunities
Mhm.
that all of us have had.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Dr. Flohian.
Yeah, this field has a good perspective because, in particular, when 1/3 of the current workforce is going to retire in the next 3 to 4 years, so there is a vacancy,
Great
and
point.
this field needs people. Employers are looking for hiring new people in this field. So. And it's like what Anna said, I do agree, you never get bored in this field. There is a variety of fields that you can actually go into, from medical facilities, industries, and consulting companies, national laboratories, many, many places, names goes on, on and on the lists.
Yes, it seems like it would not be hyperbolic to say that these are positions that literally cannot go unfilled. You have to have people in that. I mean, it could be a public health crisis if you don't have people, trained in this field, ready to go. Yep, I agree. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight. For everyone in the audience, we appreciate your time. Like I said, this is recorded. This will be posted on our Facebook page. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us here in admissions. We work for you throughout the course of this process, and we are always happy to answer any questions or point you in a direction. We look forward to hearing from everyone in the future, and hope everybody enjoys their holidays and can stay safe. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.